Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this new pre-awards unit coffee talk event. My name is Lidia, Natalia Trusilewicz, and I am currently working as a research manager here in CIMNE. And today I'm especially pleased to present and moderate the topic, effective use defines the value of the tool, AI-driven enhancement in research processes. Needless to say, the co-author of today's presentation is my well-known colleague, ChatGPT, the one on the right here, who is always right, apparently. And we will present it together somehow. And I propose the co-authorship. We would like to begin by addressing the question raised some time ago regarding the implementation of chatbots for widespread use. Can an AI tool be the author of a scientific paper? Then the answer was provided by the ethical authority here in Europe, COPE, in 2023. And it was negative, of course. The committee stated that the key reason is the need to take responsibility for the submitted work, a clear element that distinguishes a human participant from an AI. So the agenda for today focuses on explaining the reasons for enhancing human efficiency in the research processes and improving research assessment performance. The presentation will also address how to provide the best value for money funding in the context of innovation and the logistic involved. Finally, it will discuss how the overall research workflow might be both positively and negatively affected. But that's not all. The agenda will conclude with a discussion on the latest advancement in legislation regarding AI, including how it distinguishes between generative AI tools and the use of AI in research and innovation, considering the associated risk in its development, deployment, and use. Now, when I first asked my colleague chatbot what it considered best for today's talk, it presented to me the entire day agenda here on the right side of the slide, including contribution from researchers of different fields, hands-on facilitators, industry, experts, and futurists. So far, so good. For all that, I propose we will enrich our agenda, nothing less than by following our presentation of this pre-award unique talk with some real case studies presented by our CIMNE colleagues, which is Runel Rama, Kemi Akinbenimi, I hope I say it right, Alex Ferrer, David Vicente, and Francisco Zarate. First of all, I would like to situate the concept of efficiency in research of the research processes within a broader context and explore some basic definitions. Inevitably, a comprehensive view of the main actors, funders, administrators, researchers, and beneficiaries within the research community is an approach more than worthy of highlighting when considering ways to capture and organize inputs towards broader outcomes and impacts. Improvement at this stage of the process directly aligns with the popular phrase, if the principles are flawed, all conclusions are false. A similar 4EA's approach, but this time in the research and development and innovation funding context, when exploring the best value for money rule applied in the European Commission funding schemes especially, it is executed through strategic subcontracting of goods or services and managing the direct costs of a project. Still, there are numerous ways to achieve value for money in these undertakings. One of them is using a range of available tools that promote and can measure value for money gains, an area where AI can also become very handy. Well, in a nutshell, generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that uses machine learning to create content by processing large amounts of data, such as text and images from the internet. It analyzes patterns in the data to generate new content. For text-based data, the AI algorithm examines the context of words to predict what words tend to appear together. The algorithm represents words numerically using word vectors, which helps the AI understand meaning and generate correct content. It has been offered either for free or for a fee to users across various fields of activity through multiple communication channels, social media, and integrated as modular elements into numerous applications. However, artificial intelligence is much more than just a chatbot. Well, a legislative corner. The first ever worldwide legislation on AI was released and came into effect this past June. This regulation defines AI systems and AI models and assesses the level of risk, up to 4 of them, associated with their development, deployment, and use. Generative AI tools are classified as lower risk systems and are only subject to requirements related to transparency in their use. However, they must comply with EU copyright law, including disclosing the content's origin and ensuring that illegal content is not generated. In contrast, the latest advancement in general purpose AI models, which is, for example, the version GPT-4, that are deemed to pose systemic risks, so a bit more than a regular chatbot, are categorized as higher risk as simple chatbots, of course. Consequently, their introduction to the market is subject to additional compliance procedures. So how all of this is or was actually reflected even before the new law enforcement in the EU work program. The official templates state that whenever a generative AI tool is used in the preparation of proposals for any of these competitive calls, applicants are required to verify the generated content, prevent potential plagiarism, and take full responsibility for it. Without intending to interfere with the information already provided about generative tools, and for the sake of completeness, we would like to cover a few slides on what the regulation foresees also for AI systems and models, whether at current or future technologies, including those derived from research and development initiatives on numerical methods in engineering. As a general rule, scientific research and development is excluded from the law. It doesn't apply to product-oriented systems and models prior to their entry into service or the market. Essentially, if you are not a provider or deployer of any AI systems that meet the definition set by the law, which is quite broad, by the way, the regulation doesn't apply. However, if a researcher considers becoming a provider of an AI system, and if any specific application use cases of such a system are covered by the Annex 1 or 3 of the law, then the regulation does apply. This involves a pre-compliance assessment and the registration before making it available. The main concern regarding such an AI system lies in its potential capacity to infer, which is why machine learning techniques are included in the definition. As a final remark, the mentioned aerial technical documentation and criteria for systemic risk general purpose models are detailed in Annex 11, 12, and 13 of the regulation. So once the provision or deployment of an outcome from a research and innovation project becomes a reality, the applicability of a use case must be verified against the outlines in Annex 1 or Annex 3. Among the harmonized legislations mentioned in Annex 1, we find application in areas such as machinery, lifts, cableways, medical devices, civil aviation, marine equipment, and various other official parts. Meanwhile, Annex 3 covers areas such as critical infrastructures, biometrics, education, law enforcement, migration and border control, and justice, among others. Specifically, critical infrastructures are defined by the law as an asset, facility, equipment, network, or a system which is necessary for the provision of the essential service. So each innovation related to these use cases must undergo the requirements. Any of these application cases categorize the AI system as a high risk in addition. Therefore, for the use and deployment of numerical methods, for example, machine learning techniques, in the innovation context, particularly for open source products derived from a research project capable of producing results applicable in safety engineering context. For example, management and operation of critical digital infrastructure, road traffic, or the supply of water, gas, heating, and electricity. The provider or deployer is required to register the AI system in the EU database or through national means, conduct a pre-market conformity assessment before making it available, record the operations performed, implement data management best practices, and conduct a risk assessment and ensure human oversight. Once again, it's important to note how these considerations were addressed even before the new law was enforced in the EU work program. The official templates stimulate that when AI technology is part of the project proposal for any of these competitive calls, applicants must assess its robustness in terms of methodology and evaluate the ethics and security aspects related to its development, deployment, and use. The European Commission carefully reviews, in fact, indeed, it does, such proposals that address these issues to determine their relevance to funding opportunities. Conclusions and final remarks. So when I asked my colleague chatbot directly, do you believe the generative AI can replace the human creation process? And what it was thinking about it. It told me that while AI improves research by making things more efficient and offering new insights, it doesn't replace human creativity. Instead, it's a powerful tool that helps researchers do more and think more deeply, but it still relies on human intelligence, creativity, and judgment to drive real progress. So I couldn't agree more. However, I kept on asking, what is left for a human after leaving some of these research process-related tasks to an AI tool? And my chatbot insisted on that. Basically, AI tools take care of data-heavy, repetitive, and complex tasks, so humans can focus on deeper thinking, ethical issues, and creativity. This teamwork makes the research process better, helping researchers get more meaningful and impactful results. At last, we would like to conclude this part of the talk with the European Commission recommendations on the responsible use of generative AI tools from 3 different perspectives. This is very new from the last weeks, even last months. So 3 different perspectives are included by these recommendations: researchers, research entities, and funding organizations. So regarding the researchers should uphold research integrity, use generative AI transparently, and remain accountable for their specific scientific work. Protect privacy, confidentiality, and intellectual property for both inputs and outputs. Maintain a critical mindset, continuously learning to use generative AI responsibly, and improving AI literacy. Avoid using generative AI in sensitive tasks such as peer reviews or evaluations. Research entities should ensure the responsible use of generative AI by actively overseeing its development and usage. Apply these guidelines, adjusting them when necessary. Use in-house generative AI tools to keep data safe and confidential. And last but not least, funding organizations should promote the responsible use of generative AI in research, make sure it's used openly, protecting confidentiality and fairness, help applicants use generative AI in a clear, transparent way. So thank you very much for your time. So now we are going to start the case studies. First, our colleague Ramal. You have a picture.
Okay. So, thank you so much, Lidia, for this.
Thank you.
As Lidia mentioned, my name is Runia Rama. Okay. Not showing up here.
Okay. Yes, I have to. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh,
That's good.
thank you.
Yeah. Right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Runia Rama. I'm a dual PhD from CIMNE UPC and RMIT back in Australia, and it's all under the Marie Curie Act. So today the title of my talk is From Algorithm to Intelligence, Machine Learning as an Optimization Alternative. But you can see I'll be talking about machine learning, which is a subset of AI. Okay, let's quickly run through to what application we're gonna apply those machine learning techniques. So it's mainly laser-based direct energy deposition, DD, simple word, which is essentially a metal additive manufacturing process. So why DD? The fast-growing industry goes well with the Industry 4.0 philosophy that merges perfectly with machine learning. It's implemented in various applications, such as the SpaceX Raptor engine, which has around 40% of its for 3D printed. Also, DD is very good at rapid prototyping ability, so that's really helpful in industries such as Formula One cars, and also the ability of multi-material production. So quickly, what's DD? So this animation is going to help us to understand a bit more what's DD. So in DD, we have three main components. We have the nozzle, the powder feed, and the laser, whereby the metal powder is fed through the powder feed and in synchrony with the laser. So the laser melts and fuses the powder into a substrate in order to produce a specific part or a complex part like this cylinder. So that's quickly what's the process. So now I'll talk a bit why do we need optimization, especially in DD and in this case power optimization. So usually when we start with a constant power supply, and this will end up something like this, whereby the red part denotes like illustrate the movement of the laser. So when we use a constant power supply, we usually end up with high temperatures and large heat accumulation. And this will usually end up in a bad printing and not going into much details. And that's mainly because of the large heat accumulation using constant power. And now on the other side, we need to optimize the power supply by keeping some parameters constant. And why do we need the optimization of the power supplies is to aim at a better printing. So before we print the actual part, we subject it to an optimization loop, a traditional optimization loop, so that we can have an optimal power distribution. And when we have an optimal power distribution, it will end up something like this, so a more uniform and concentrated region of high temperature within the deposition process. And this usually ends up in a better print because by altering the different power, we can, between successive layers, we can aim at maintaining the dimensional integrity of the printing job. But this comes at an expense, is very time consuming, ranging from a couple of hours to a couple of days, depending on the complexity of the product we are manufacturing. So now let's get on the real thing, on the thing for today about machine learning. So how can we use machine learning as an alternative to that traditional optimization loop? So here we have like a typical network for machine learning. So we have the inputs, then we have the hidden layers, and then we have the predicted output. So the inputs usually, so these are the nodes which describe the input features. So the input features are designed by the user. It can be like the length, the volume, this kind of stuff. And then we have the hidden layer. So the hidden layer comprises of stacked layers comprising of the neurons, which is the basic unit of a neural network. And then we have the actual prediction. And here the animation that we can see is the proper, or let's say the learning algorithm, which is happening by a process called backpropagation, whereby those weights and biases are constantly at each epoch or iterations constantly updated in order to minimize this input function, which in turn will try to reduce the discrepancy between the predicted output and the actual output that we have. So that's the aim of the learning process. And the activation function is here just to control the output. Control the output and add some non-linearity to the system as well. So yeah, so that's the machine learning, like how it works. Okay, so now that's the neural network design for our specific task, which is, so we extract input data from our simulation, comprises of the laser on time, the temperature, the dimensional parameters and all that. So we feed it into our neural network, which comprises of 4 different layers with different neurons and different activation functions. I guess here you can't see it, but it's mainly to have to try to predict the optimal power that we're going to use for the printing process. And so this neural network was designed by a process called hyperparameter tuning, which helped us to kind of know what hyperparameters to use, how many number of layers, how many number of neurons, this sort of stuff. And okay, so now after we've seen why do we need machine learning, I want to elaborate a bit on machine learning resources that can be helpful to you guys so that you can use it in the future. So first I'll start with machine learning environments, which first I guess the most used and powerful one is Anaconda. So the main part with Anaconda is because it has the ability of creating different virtual environments. And why do we need different virtual environments, especially in machine learning? Because we have different stages. So we range from the data pre-processing, the training itself, and also the prediction. So having different different environments is very helpful in machine learning. And also Anaconda, it integrates popular IDEs like Spider and Jupyter Notebook, which were designed to allow the smooth development of machine learning models. And we also have Google Colab, which is a very powerful cloud-based tool, which gives access to powerful CPUs, GPUs as well, and recently to TPUs as well, tensor processing unit mainly for machine learning. But it comes at an expense. It is available only for 12 hours. So after 12 hours, everything gets erased. So we need to be a bit cautious about training our models using Google Colab. And on the other side, we have machine learning libraries. And the most common one is TensorFlow, which is also developed by Google, the Google Brain team, which developed TensorFlow to provide like a proper framework, a machine learning framework. And then we have Keras as well. We were later merged with TensorFlow and providing like an interface for machine learning models. So, and also in collaboration to that, we have scikit-learn, which is very helpful, such as NumPy, which is very helpful for matrices manipulation, especially because machine learning is all about matrices, and also pandas for data analysis, matplotlib for visualization purposes. So here the main goal is to take the libraries, put it in a proper environment, and then tailor it to your proper application. So the tailoring is very important so that it suits your application. Because machine learning is a big thing. We should be able to tailor it to our own application. So quickly, let's have a look how our prediction is compared to the actual values. So using a first case 10 parallel tracks. So these cloud points represent the actual data, and the line is the prediction of our model. So we can see, and we usually use a metric called the R2 score. which is basically a coefficient to measure how well regression models fits observed data. So as we can see, it's around 0.8, which is deemed acceptable for machine learning prediction. And then moving on, so with more training, we expect for the R2 score to increase because more training, so the model can understand more the problem and can provide better prediction. And this one is a more complex case, which is a rectangular deposition with 0 and 90 infields. So a very complex deposition in terms of temperatures and scanning sequence for DED. But still, we can see that the model is performing pretty well, 0.87. So we can start thinking about relying on these models. So being able to train those models to help us to predict the power is helpful so that we can switch from the traditional optimization loop, like the lengthy optimization loop, to prediction from machine learning, which help us to make the design to manufacturing process much faster. So that we can test more, we can analyze more, and we have quick predictions within seconds, we can have a prediction with the machine learning model. And also our aim is to extend this intelligence, like call it this intelligence, to the actual machine, to the actual printing machine, whereby it can act as a digital twin and kind of like monitor in real time what's happening. So how good or how bad the printing is. So that's further extending the intelligence. And okay, yeah. So before finishing, I just want to share some insights in machine learning, especially from my experience. So two main things that I've realized, and I've realized during the development of the machine learning models is about the data pre-processing, especially about data cleaning, data splitting, and feature engineering, because all this data, it impacts directly the performance of the machine learning model. So having a proper data pre-processing is very important. And secondly, to carefully select the neural network parameters, so the layers, the number of neurons, the activation function that we need. And like I said before, this is done by a process called hyperparameter tuning. And being able to design a proper network and carefully selecting the data, we should be able to aim at something which is deemed acceptable. And to conclude, I just want to finish with a very interesting anecdote. So being an aerospace engineer, I'm going to use the example from the autonomous SpaceX rocket landings, whereby the rockets are nowadays equipped with machine learning software. And those software, they use the real-time information, so the position, the velocity, or data from various sensors, so that in real time it analyzes and it ensures a smooth landing, something which was not possible 10 or 15 years before. And like this, machine learning is having a lot of impact in healthcare, finance, and now in advanced manufacturing as well. So that's pretty much it. And thank you for your attention.
Next presentation, Annie.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. And my name is Oluwakemi Akinwumi, and I'm a PhD student studying computer vision using machine learning and deep learning in natural spaces, supervised by Javier Mora and Alberto Tena. Before I start my presentation, I just want to ask a question. Just imagine if I'm to offer you 100 euros for asking me the right question. Would you want to try to ask me just one question? Okay, now that goes to my presentation, machine prompt engineering. My colleague who presented Lidia, she used ChatGPT to present or to ask what can be the agenda of today's meeting. That's she gave the ChatGPT instructions. So prompt engineering is very simple. Let's leave the technical. Let's go to the non-technical. Prompt engineering is basically instructions you give to the computer. It's like a human to computer interaction. You might talk to your colleagues, they would understand, but would ask yourself, whenever I talk, do these computers understand me? Yes, they might understand you, they are very intelligent, but do they understand you perfectly? So this is what I'm really talking about, prompt engineering. Prompt engineering are basic instructions that you give to this ChatGPT, that you give to this large language models, you give to these computers to automate things, to make, to reduce repetitive tasks and to optimize productivities. Your communication, your instructions, prompt engineering. Now, how well do you know it? You might ask yourself, why should I care? Probably maybe you've not signed up with ChatGPT, you've not signed up with Google Bard, you've not signed up, or you are not just, let's even assume you're not a technical person, you don't know how to code in machine learning, you don't know deep learning. Why should you care? Okay, you are HR, why should you care about this AI that we are talking about? Everyone uses AI. In your homes, you use AI. Google Map, for example, if your home is automated and you say, I'm Siri, do you mind turning off the AC for me? Or would you mind bringing down the window blind? These are AI. Yes, they might not necessarily be ChatGPT, but these are AI. So these are simple instructions you are giving to this AI. So you should care because naturally, we all are already using AI. Neither if you are not coding in Python, you're not coding in deep learning, you're not coding, you are using AI, you're using at every point in time, because your Google Map, your virtual assistant. And yes, AI automates tasks. AI removes this repetitive, it makes things faster. Now, how does this prompt engineering work? You want to apply for a job and you package yourself and say, yes, you have this very good communication. Also, communication with this AI is a skill set on its own. So you might not necessarily know how to code, but do you know how to communicate with these machines? Do you know how to communicate with this artificial intelligence? And it's a very simple thing, prompt engineering. First thing, how it works is clarity. How clear are your instructions? You don't have to use ambiguous words. You don't have to use very long prompts to get. But the longer the prompt, the more confused it is, the higher the risk of having misinformation and biases it would give you as a response. I take it as a garbage in, garbage out. What you give it is what it should give you. Your input determines your output. So as much as you want to build your communication and instruction for this AI, clarity matters a lot. Your context. Keywords are very important in this AI, ChatGPT. Even if you are programming, context matters a lot. And the type of prompts, information. You want to ask this ChatGPT or what have you, what exactly is causing climate change? Now, this has a context, it's informative. You want to get a generative, okay, I need a project proposal about building something or a proposal around biodiversity. You are giving it a context. You are asking for a generative content. And instruction in 100 words, in 100 characters. Basically, now basic practice and best practice for crafting good prompts for you to say, yeah, I'm a very good prompt engineer is number one, be very specific. Ask questions like, what are the sales trends? What is the cause of climate change? What exactly is this? What is the new EU law? Be specific. Don't just give it a random thing or just one word or two words and expect it to bring out things for you. Use constraints. It's very good. Sometimes you might ask ChatGPT, I need a report on biodiversity. ChatGPT is efficient. It gives you a very long, detailed report, but in between has lots of misinformation. And you want just maybe probably 10 lines. But if you are told it in 100 words, in 100 characters, give me this report, it would stick to it. So sometimes, or most times, you should constrain this artificial intelligence. Also, provide examples in IEEE style. I need you to give me an aqua version, and it would stick to it than just it giving you a generic response. And also try to refine, try to reiterate, try to do like a reverse. You ask a question, you're not getting it. This is where prompt engineering comes into place. Have you tried to ask it a second time or a third time, reframing your question, or even taking from the back to the front? Reframe it, and let's see. Okay, my personal experience with large language models, like I said, it's a non-technical aspect, just carry everyone along. I personally used ChatGPT a lot. It's one of the most popular, and apart from the fact that it's a conventional and multimodal, where you can input images for it to interpret, it's a very good one. Also, I used Gemini. Gemini is like the Google ecospace. It just asks you ask it things, it brings out response. Also, for Microsoft Copilot, which I'm very sure everyone is familiar with. One beautiful thing about Microsoft Copilot is that it works better on on Microsoft applications like Excel. Before now, I sit down and sometimes I might just be racking my head. I might have like 1,000 rows and columns, and I'm like, okay, I need a function, I need a function. I found out that using Microsoft Copilot, it has made my life easier. It helps. So Microsoft Copilot, even in Microsoft Word, sometimes it just gives you an idea in writing or a PowerPoint. Yeah, it works better on their application. Also, Perplexity AI. If you want to get facts, Perplexity AI is connected to the internet. It gives you real-time search and facts. Cloud A1, Cloud A2, and Entropy. Basically, if you're a programmer, I recommend it for you. I use it a lot for my coding, my machine learning libraries. And for example, I might just get stuck, and Claudia has been there for me. It's very good in debugging. It will tell you where the role and what exactly is the problem. So these are some of the AIs I'm recommending, or I'm sharing my experience. Qbot, for example, you have a text generated from ChatGPT, and it's likely it might when you put it on a plagiarism checker, it's likely that the plagiarism rate might be high. Qbot helps you to bring down the plagiarism rate by paraphrasing. It's a very good one. It also helps in detecting AI text generated by AI. So you can put a text on it and it tells you, okay, it's likely that this text was generated by AI, 70% humans. So yes, you can also use, and there are lots more. Gamma for PowerPoint presentation, it gives you this very soft and sweet PowerPoint presentation. I've used so many, but these are the ones I can really recommend for people. And basically, this is just a short history of how we all started, because we can't deny that we are in the world of generative AI. The world started from ChatGPT, the open AI, and ChatGPT started with GPT 3. And you all know that when it all came out, it was about 17 billion parameters and a whole lot of back and forth. But gradually, they are improving on it. Now we have ChatGPT 4 to go, and it's multimodal where you can upload images. And I think I've also tried uploading video for it to analyze which it worked. So this is just and most LLMs, most large language models, they are built using either ChatGPT or Google Gemini. Google Gemini uses Lambda, large language dialogue. They use Lambda. Even Microsoft Copilot uses ChatGPT. I'm talking of the architectural build-up now, and Azure AI. So a lot of these AIs, they picked, ChatGPT made their API open, so they integrate or they build it from ChatGPT. So basically, we started from ChatGPT. Yeah, so this is just a few. So I did a prompt comparison. I just said, okay, let me ask ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini. I said, can you provide me 3 descriptions of an affront to the general manager of CIMNE? Before now, I always play with it. I'm like, okay, let me see if I'm popular. Can you tell me about myself? Can you tell me about Oluwakemi? And he tells me, no, I don't know you. And I always feel bad. Yes, I know I'm not popular, but then. So I'm like, okay, an affront should be popular. Can you tell me 3 descriptions of an affront? And let's see their response. ChatGPT gave me, mind you, I already said prompt engineering, you must be clear, you must clarity, you must give context. Now the context there is I've assisted the AI by saying who an affront is. She is the general manager and also a keyword CIMNE. So it was very intelligent to give me 3 things about an affront, of which I should believe that 80% should be right. Now let's go over to Copilot. Copilot did the same thing. It gave me her background, gave me her professional background, her role, and her leadership. Now let's go over to Gemini. Gemini said, I'm sorry, I don't have enough information about this person. Yes, Gemini is not bad. A lot of persons, once they go on these LLMs, they just go outright to condemn it. But meanwhile, have you tried prompt engineering? Have you asked yourself, did I ask this computer the right questions? Mind you, these machines, these LLMs, were also built by prompt engineers. So a prompt engineer at the back end built it, so expecting you to also ask questions almost the same way. So after noticing that Gemini did refused to answer me, and I'm like, okay, I would personally force you to say, bring out who an affront is. And Gemini was intelligent to say. So what I did was I just did prompt engineering and backward forward questioning. The first question was, can you provide me 3 different descriptions of an affront general manager, which he declined. I then went further to say, an affront is the general manager of CIMNE. Can you help me with her biography? And trust me, Gemini brought out a whole lot of things, brought out the link to her biography, brought out CIMNE and everything. And yes, this is where prompt engineering comes into place. How well and how good is your question to these LLMs? Secondly, academically, I said, okay, can you provide me with the 10 most relevant paper on computer vision and machine learning for detecting abandoned dog pets, which is my own area of focus and my project. And I said, ensure to add URL of these papers and provide me with the list using IEEE. Now, I made mention of 4 steps: clarity, providing structure, and constraining it. And yes, ChatGPT brought out a lot of papers, and which I checked, majority are valid. Gemini declined. Also, it said, unfortunately, I can't find. Just like what Google does, like I earlier said, Gemini is a Google echo space. If Google cannot give you an answer, it usually gives you an alternative. So Gemini gave me an alternative. And Copilot gave me also its own response. Now, common mistakes you and I made using this AIs, using this LLMs is that, number one, we are vague. We tend to just say, tell me more. What do you think? I think the worst prompt you can ask these AIs is, what do you think? That's the worst prompt, or tell me more. It gives you lots of misinformation and biases. Also overloading. We want to do things as a project management staff, as a non-technical staff, or even as a technical staff. Don't expect, we all think AI is smart, but AI is not as smart as humans. Don't expect AI to take a 10-page document and analyze it for you within 10 seconds. We tend to overload it. So why don't you break it down bit by bit and help train also these AIs? Also, lack of iteration, lack of prompting, we are not patient enough to reprompt and see if we are getting to communicate with these machines very well, and also reverse engineering. Sometimes try to ask it from back to front. And even when it brings out a fact or it brings out an answer, to confirm, why don't you do it the opposite way and see, okay, these LLMs, did it still bring the same answer? So these are some common mistakes we make as technical and non-technical staffs. I would just want to say that as an HRO, you can use AI. It's very important. It's very necessary. As a project department pre-award, it's very important. It's very necessary. And we can do this by generating and sharing knowledge by learning prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is very good as a programmer, as a non-technical person. In conclusion, let's embrace AI for better results. Let's embrace AI for more productivity, and let's learn prompt engineering. You don't necessarily have to read a bachelor's or a master's degree in prompt engineering to become a prompt engineer. You can learn prompt engineering added to whatever you read and maximize AI. Let's also communicate and share knowledge and embrace it. Thank you very much for listening.
Kemi. I think the next person was Alex Ferrer, which is online, hopefully. He's not there. No. Okay. David Vicente?
He's online.
He's online. How can we connect with him properly, I think? I just stopped to share the screen. David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you share the screen? Do you
Thank you,
have?
Lidia. Yeah.
In case you have. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. I'm going to share. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, yes, we can. I think it's
Perfect. So thank you very much, Lady Natalia.
thanks.
I'm going to do this presentation, and as you can see by the title of this presentation, my perspective is as a user. I'm not an expert in artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence. I work in the group of machine learning and civil engineering, so I used to use machine learning algorithms. But in this case, I think that this presentation will be related to my user's perspective and on how I use ChatGPT to perform my day-to-day routines. So this is my vision as a user. I utilize these kind of tools for my day-to-day routines. I usually perform the same type of actions. I have not studied very deeply how they work. So I have learned my own prompts with a trial and error approach. And I'm aware that there are still several capacities that I would like to explore in the future. But in this presentation, I'm going to show you what kind of activities I perform with ChatGPT. Mainly, there are two of them. I use it for programming actions and also for writing proposals. There are other minor tasks that I also use, for example, to translate, to check or summarize texts, also to search information about a new topic, of course. And for example, I have just started also to create new pictures to introduce them in presentations. For example, these two pictures, I have just created them this morning in order to represent these main two topics that I'm going to explain today. So in order to create this, I have just put this prompt. As I tell you, I have not the knowledge as our former colleague about prompt engineering, but it's very easy to create your own to achieve your own goals if you ask with the right prompt. So here you can see an example of create two images with the same style for representing these two actions, and it has been very nice, the pictures that ChatGPT has provided me. So regarding the programming, the main tasks that I use when I perform programming actions, I usually do this time of queries. I usually search this time of actions to ChatGPT. First of all, I ask to create. I usually program with Python, so it's very common that I ask ChatGPT about to create some code with a specific objective. They can be a general query sometimes in order to discover new functions, new methods that I even don't know that they exist. But I usually use these prompts, these questions with a very specific task, a very specific objective. Here I'm going to show you some examples of some of the queries, some of the prompts that I have asked ChatGPT in other occasions. So this is the I'm going to wait a minute. Now. So, for example, sometimes I not only use in order to create code, but to learn about some specific libraries of the programming language. For example, I want to use to perform some actions related to inputting missing data in order to perform a machine learning model. So I have seen in some in the website that there are several utilities, several libraries. So sometimes I ask these generative AIs about information and differences between different libraries. This is a good start point in order to know the capacities of different libraries. But then you can go into more detail when you need to perform a very specific action. So in this kind of questions, I usually write sometimes I explain it a lot with a lot of detail, but in my case, I think it's a good approach because it usually all provides me the code that more or less perform the task that I'm asking. In this case, I'm asking ChatGPT about a specific task related to machine learning, and well, it's not a very innovative task what I'm asking, but it's not it is neither a very easy action to do. And as here you can see in the left of my screen that at the beginning, this is some queries that I have made last year, and I usually do different questions in different chats. Then I realized that a better option for me is to group the same time of queries in a unique chat. It's something that it goes well in my case. But what I also realized is that in some of these queries, I asked ChatGPT to structure the code in the steps. So in the following questions that the following prompts or queries that I ask ChatGPT, it realized that I will prefer this kind of a structuration of providing me the code by steps. So in this case, you can see that I have asked for this kind of action related to machine learning tasks, and he provided me a summary in steps, and then he also provide the code that I can copy and test that in order to know if it works well and if it performs the action that it was supposed to do. Several times it not goes at the first attempt, so there are some bugs, but it very often the first thing is that they structure the code very well. That's a very good advantage for me, as I'm a researcher that program, but I'm a programmer. But also I think that when I ask so many questions about the same topic, it also refine the code that he provides me, and then the bugs are decreased. So this is another example of a very large query, a very large prompt that I ask ChatGPT. In this case, I could have done several queries in order to perform different actions that I have to perform subsequently. But I prefer sometimes to write to try to in a first attempt to do a large series of actions that I have to perform, and then yes, I will have to check always if it goes well the code. But it's nice when you perform a lot, you ask ChatGPT for a lot of actions. He usually structures the code so well, providing you a good structure of the code, defining their own processes. So this is not only an advantage in order to achieve your goal, but also because you can learn how to structure your own programming code. So this is the first main action, as I told you, about how I use ChatGPT in order to do these programming tasks. But also, regarding programming, it's very interesting also using AI tools to comment code. Sometimes as researchers, our goal is to go into to achieve one objective, and we start to write a lot of code, and when we realize we have been coding thousands of lines, and sometimes we have forgotten to comment the code properly. So a very good advantage of ChatGPT in my case is that you can provide you can upload the file that you have create with your program, your code, and he comment very, very well all the steps that you are, or the main steps that you have performed. Another action that we have tested in our research group is to translate from one programming language to another. In our group, we work in some of my colleagues program in Python, other ones in language R. So this is another good advantage, the translation, that it performs it quite well. And of course, to review your code, to check errors if you have a bug, and also to optimize. Sometimes you also write a lot of code, you realize that it's not optimized, so you can also introduce your Python file, your programming file, and it reduces it optimizes the computational cost, and I think it's another good task that you can perform regarding these programming actions. The next main task that I have already mentioned is to prepare proposals, writing proposals. I'm going to present you this with a practical example. In the last months, some months ago, I coordinated one proposal about this call. Interreg Sudoe is named this call. This is a very particular, it's a European call, but it's very particular because it's a regional call in the frame of Europe that also applies to these three countries, Portugal, Spain, France. And the objectives of this call are very, very specific in order to increase the impact in rural areas. You have to have in mind the climate change impact. So it's not an open call where you can present whatever you want, but it has a lot of particularities, and also it has a very political approach, okay, in the objectives that you have to focus. So in this project, we applied to this call for a project that was related to a new directive, a new European directive that has already been approved regarding wastewater treatments. So these two concepts were quite new are quite innovative and are quite specific, both the call and the topic that we were going to work. So in this occasion, and based on what I have learned in the past doing other queries, I decided in this occasion to ask all the queries in the same chat. Okay, that's I think that is a recommendation. And during a couple of months that I was coordinating this proposal, all the questions that I do, but not only technical questions about the topic, but also all the translations that I made. Sometimes I even use this chat to translate large emails. I uploaded also specific information that I found very interesting, specific information about the call, about the new directive. Even the concept note that I prepared and started to distribute at the very beginning of the proposal, I upload as information to this chat. And and as you can see here, I had a very complete, very large chat with a lot of information about this project. Okay, so at the very end of the proposal, it was very, very practical. I found very practical that I could use this information, not only the information that is intrinsic in the ChatGPT, but also the information that I have provided in this chat. So I use this chat, as I told you, to search technical information about the specific topics. I also use it to prepare a draft budget, but in my experience, it was not a good one of the best tasks that the best answer that ChatGPT provided me. I also use it to propose the title of the project and to suggest me some acronyms. But the most relevant thing that I found is that as I have trained also with this chat with my own information, I had the feeling that I trained it with the specific topics that I was most interested. And I used at the end of the writing proposals to write the specific sections of the proposal. Of course, as my colleagues has also highlighted, we have to always check, review, rewrite the answers that the AI provided us. But as a starting point to start to generate the text of a specific section that sometimes could be a little bit difficult to if you are with a white paper, I think it's a very, very good tool. It's very productive because it suggests you some ideas, a complete paragraph if you want, and then you can review it and polish all the text according to your final objectives. So with this regard, this is a very good example, this question that I asked regarding this project. This was a very specific section that I found in the proposal. The question, the section was this: how will your project contribute to the territorial rebalance of the Sudoe area? Okay, I have to recognize that when at first, my first attempt, I was not very fresh my mind to start to write, but with all the information I provided earlier, it provides me a very nice paragraphs about the advantages of the project, that how they will address these inequalities in the rural areas. I have to recognize that it surprised me how that it fits very well to the purpose of the content of this section. And in particular, most of the comments of the paragraphs that he suggests me were very related to some comments that I have introduced in the uploading the specific code or translating some paragraphs. But for example, this last paragraph that I have just highlighted, it was an idea that I had never mentioned before during the writing proposal. This project could be an opportunity to offer better qualified jobs, which are scarce in the populated areas. I highlight this only because this is an idea, that an original idea. Of course, ChatGPT and all AIs provide answers from all the sources that they have been trained, but I have never put this kind of comment, this kind of sentence in all the process of writing this proposal. So it surprised me a lot, this answer, and I use it in the proposal. So in conclusion, my vision, as a user, of using ChatGPT is that in my case, I think that if you use as a day-to-day tool, it can increase a lot your productivity. It can reduce the time of doing and performing several tasks. One recommendation that I do is that detect your own limitations. For example, in my case, sometimes I write a lot in order to explain something. Okay, but so ChatGPT has helped me in order to summarize text. So you have also to know what are your limitations, and refine your prompts according to these limitations. Okay. Of course, you have to always check all the information and answers that provide these kind of tools, and you have to review all of them. Sometimes also they have provided me very silly or incoherent answers, and explore new capacities. In my case, I think that is a pending task, because I usually do the same kind of actions, but after this meeting, I think that I'm going to search new capacities in order to improve also my productivity. So thank you very much. I hope you find interesting my vision, and that's all. Thank you, Lidia.
Thank you. And our last speaker today, the last case study, is Francisco Zarate. We should share the screen again. Which one was that? This one? Version 10.
Okay,
The floor is yours.
thank you very much, Lidia. Well, first of all, I want to say that David has a nice experience with this ChatGPT. I also do the same. I use it for programming and also for writing a proposal. And for programming, I'm really disappointed because it gives me about the answers to my questions. I ask, give me code for obtaining the cubic root for a complex number, and give you nice code that was the square root. Say, no, you made a mistake. I didn't ask the square root. I need the cubic root. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Here's the new version. Again, the cubic root, the square root. And for programming, I found that it makes a lot of mistakes, but for writing a proposal, it helps me a lot because it's a good way to obtain new ideas and how to structure the proposal, you know. It gives some hints and what's the key words that you need to put in the proposal. In this example, I asked, give me the state of the art in dogs, and give me some nice keywords that I will take it in some way and try to explain and use it into the proposal. So it's a very good start for writing this proposal. Also for find the literature about the topic that you are searching and the research. It's a very useful tool. In this case, I say, okay, give me a resume of the Quixote book and give me a nice resume about it. So in many cases, and you also mentioned that when you make a resume, say, give me 100 words of this resume of this text. It works fine. I use a lot because you have some restrictions in the length of your ideas in a proposal. So I use it for reduce the size. Works really nice. Also for doing some translations or for giving a nice paragraph, because the English that ChatGPT uses is better than mine. So I use it for doing this kind of translations and corrections in my proposal. I say translate to the English what you say, and give me a nice paragraph. So it's a very useful tool in this case. Also for data analysis and visualization. Now the version 4 has these capabilities, and I say, okay, why don't you give me a graph about the presentation of that I'm make with ChatGPT for doing proposals, writing proposals. Give me this picture. Well, I don't like it, but it's a first attempt for trying to obtain some nice graphs and try to improve the proposal. Also, it helps for doing some schedules and budget, as David mentioned it. In this case, I try to make an example, say, okay, why don't you give me the task that I need to build the wall? And you give me some task. I don't look it very close, but seems reasonable to be mentioned in the task that we need to create this wall. So it's a nice tool for helping you to give you some ideas in writing a proposal. Say, okay, now I want that you review this task and give me a flow chart. And as everything that you work with artificial intelligence, you need to be very careful, because sometimes make a mistake, and that mistake, you at the end, you are the responsible of that things. In this case, say, okay, I cannot give you something because you reach the limit of messages. Try later. Well, Lidia helped me with that, and she tried later on.
That was good.
And give me a flow chart. Well, it's not a true or real flow chart because there's all the tasks that start at the same time. So this is something crazy. But in some way, it's an idea. It's a tool for improving your work, for trying to obtain better things. And sometimes there are some points, some ideas that you do not take it into account. And ChatGPT say, okay, this is something that you can help us. David say, I absolutely agree with him in the way to use it. And for my side is it's all, and I appreciate the time for you for having this listen to this presentation. By the way, this presentation was made in ChatGPT and said, okay, download the presentation and that's part.
Thank you, Francisco. I think we have perhaps a few minutes for some very small, quick questions.
One quick question.
Okay.
Do you use the free version of ChatGPT or the premium version to make the prompts?
To whom is the question? To all of us.
David and Francisco, for example.
I use the 3 version and the 4. I use both.
Okay, because I didn't know that with the free version you can download a presentation. So
With the presentation was made with both.
okay.
The option 4.
Okay.
Yes. And the programming experience was with version 3. I tried the same question in version 4. It give you the right answer for the QA rule for the imaginary number.
I think if you normally use the ChatGPT, it is updated already with the version 4, and but it has some limited of access.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
So from some point it is the version 3 again.
Yeah.
But
okay. Then if you want the version 4 all the time, you need to upgrade.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
This is. I think it's a some fee or some contribution at least to the programmers, which is absolutely right. I think. And but this software has already systemic risk according to the legislation. So yeah, I think it's like a quality step regarding the this kind of softwares. Any other question? Fernando. Yeah, please.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I want to thank you, Lidia, and all the speakers. I think it was a really interesting talk.
Thank you.
And I have one comment, a very short comment. It's about the images generated by these AIs. I have used them from time to time for that, and I experienced an issue that David also experienced. I don't know, David, did you realize that in one of your images, there is a very clear gross error? When you ask for, I think that you mentioned, probably mentioned in your prompt, proposal writing, but in big letters over there, you can see something that's not proposal, it's something different. I mean, I don't know why,
Yes.
but this is a typical typical error of this kind of images. Just a comment I didn't know if you had realized. So a very, very nice image, but sometimes you can't use them because of this very gross mistake. And,
I didn't realize project proposals. It was yeah.
And the other thing is a question for Lidia. Lidia, you explained the regulations, some ethical issues, and so on. What do you think that these examples of application of AI that we have seen, in particular those for writing proposals and also for coding, do you think that is there any problem is or conflict with this this regulation? I mean, are we doing the right thing, or is there something that we should do some other way?
No, I think that it was one of the slides that generative AI tools are advised, but it must be explained that they were used in the proposal writing in context. They are very minimal risk regarding the legislation. It's all connected to the legislation now. So especially regarding the European Commission competitive basis programs. And then it must be stated that the generative AI was used, but it's of course not a problem. I think that more our common task that could be of risk or of any concern in this aspect is not to use generative AI for peer review and evaluation tasks. So if many of us researchers are also expert evaluators in many different programs and competitions, and we shouldn't use, or well, even the peer review of research article, we shouldn't use generative AI for it. So it was quite clearly stated for me when I read it.
Okay.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? We have still a few minutes. Maybe from
I have a quick
yes?
question. So you say we need to state that we use the generative AI. So how do we state that in the document?
Maybe I just share the screen. It was these are direct tests. For example, in the European Commission research and innovation actions work programs, modalities, and also in Marie Curie and European Research Council work programs. It is a part of the instructions of the template. So if you are reading the template, you have to write the proposal. And you have the template, and the template contains already these instructions. It was added quite recently. I think it's 2023, yeah, a year ago. So it is quite recent. We are like living this right now, this change, this transformation. But I don't know if there are not any more questions. I can just show the slide to show you how these instructions are constructed in detail. So this is these are exactly the instructions for well, guidance on the use of generative AI tools in the proposal writing templates. Thank you. So yeah, basically, we have to verify the accuracy, validity, list of sources, acknowledge the limitations that we are aware of it. There are a lot of space in the templates in different parts of the proposal to mention this kind of that this kind of tools were used as well.
In terms of CIMNE, maybe it could be helpful to create some text indicating which tools we are using for books or for papers or something like that, and for which.
I think that mostly it is we are like done on the declarative level, because if we declare that we have oversight the generated text by the IPI, and we are aware of the responsibility held and so on, that it is quite sufficient for what is this kind of proposal writing. Maybe we can add some data, but
what it means is you have some list of examples to include in the proposals of the papers. I read this morning one paper with some comments about the use of these kind of tools very clearly. So I think this could be very quite helpful
Mhm.
in the sense of to clarify that you are using that just, let's say, for translation or for shorten the text, it's
Mhm.
not exactly to generate contents that that's not your responsibility.
Well, I think that this is the responsibility of each proposal, separately speaking, because the thing with the ethical issues, according to my perception, is it should be considered separately for each proposal. So each proposal, for example, I don't know, David mentioned it, that he used the generative AI for specific sections, and so in the ethical issues part of the proposal, he should state that he used it for this part and this part. Francisco said that he used it for the idea structure or other conceptualization. So it's the same to name it. So I think that regarding the ethical approach, it is each time other explanations, but they are of course similarly in approach, but as each proposal is different, each explanation is also different, I think. But yes, we can have some.
There's some examples of.
So if there are not any other questions.
Are you going to share the presentations?
Yes, this is like a regular coffee talk.
Okay.
So yeah, it will be uploaded hopefully by our colleagues. Yeah. So thank you very much again for your attendance and also your presence online.